Is Shadowrun still in the hotbar? No, I gotta find it. What did they do to my Glorpos the game? Hello? I own the game since it came out with within a cricket's fart of Ecclesia. And you'd unlock Shinoa by linking your DS to your Wii. Oh, that's weird. I didn't even know that was a thing you could do. Alright, last time on Shadowrun Hong Kong, I realized I may have fucked the personal quest situation. But also, we had a weird moral dilemma where we had to side with either, elven eco-terrorists or a company that's doing horrible mutation research for the secrets of immortality by kidnapping elves and mutating them to get the secrets, and I feel like that wasn't really a moral choice, I'm not gonna lie. Like, saying, but the other side is eco-terrorists, I'm like, yeah, but you're engaging in metahuman trafficking and horrible metahuman experimentation so you can make the 1% functionally immortal. Fuck you.
Okay, the thing is, like, the only one thing you argue against eco-terrorism is basically is the only thing is like extreme. It could be paid as extreme methods aren't good. Like the ends do not justify the means, kind of thing. But it's still hard sell to go against, considering horrific human experimentation.
Horrific human experimentation, and they tried to fucking filch out on the deal at one point. Like, it's a weird situation, because, like, it's also meant to show that, like, the tier... they're not called the tier Nanog, but I'm gonna use that term because it's in my head. But, like, the tier are very much, you know, aloof. They want to, like, they're not gonna pay you as well, and they're not good people. Like, they were ready to, like, put the gun to you at a moment's notice. But they're not horrible bioengineers. It was a weird situation.
The thing is, people who fight for a good cause don't always have to be good people. Sometimes bad people fight for a good cause. But also, it's thing with, like, a lot of games when it comes to do it with the quote-unquote evil option, is that a lot of times the evil options is just, alright, you do this, you're not incentivized to really do it other than, like, oh, you're evil. Ooh.
Did I already get paid for this? I think I did. What's the Shadowland BBS look like? Oh, nothing today. I think we've done all of Act 2. But I don't think we checked in with the crew.
You know, it's like, making things like, oh, it has to be shades of gray, sometimes not on it. But the thing is, you're going to do a good choice for the bad choice. You're going to at least make doing the evil choice more enticing than just, oh, you're doing it because you're evil. You don't want, but you got to do the good thing. You get all the good stuff after you do the good things.
Here's the thing. Ooh, I actually got it. Fuck you, Mosquito. I think the idea there was the, I'm basing this based on the amount of rewards you get for the situation, but I think the best thing was you were supposed to turn on both of them. But I literally had no reason to turn on the tier. Like, the tier Nanog, while not upfront initially, still held up their part of the deal. And like, the incentive for the bad side was, like, you get, I think, triple the pay. But even then, I'm just like...
Yeah, because, because the thing is, like, when you do stuff like that, it's like, when you reward it, like, you either, like, you have to provide it, like, reward in certain ways. Like, reward it, like, let's say, like physical, like, physical reward, like, monetary and whatnot. Or have the writing where it makes, like, sense for you to do certain things. Oh, yeah, I get why I would do that if, like, I'm not getting anything out of it.
Betraying both gets you a bit of karma. That's what I was talking about, Divine Hero, where monetarily you get more by betraying both sides. But as Cassandra Harding, I would have no reason to betray the tier, because even though they lied to me, they didn't stiff me on the bill. Granted, it was very petty pay, but like, I'm not putting the secrets of elven immortality in the hands of corporate interests. And also, you know, the horrible bio experiments. Anyway, we're laboring the point at this point. You enter Duncan's cabin and find him moving through some sort of stretching routine. His muscles ripple as he flows tranquilly from one pose to the next. You look different, Cassandra. I look older, right? Yeah, like I flipped forward a few chapters instead of turning a page. I mean, you look like you, just not the you I knew. I get it, you're you too, just a lot leaner. Duncan looks down at his torso. Yeah, remember how Lockjaw used to make fun of my gut? Used to call me the Duncan Donut. I guess got tired of that whole running out of energy walking up the stairs routine. Plus I needed to slim down to get into the academy. Once I got off my ass and started exercising, you know, really exercising, I found out I kinda love it. It's the focus, I guess. I don't gotta think about anything. I don't have to talk to anyone. All I have to do is concentrate on my form and count my reps. And no matter what happens after that, I've started my day by accomplishing something. I like his mindset, but like, it's kind of the opposite for me, where I tend to think too much about other things when doing stuff like that. Hey, Lord Tyrion.
Well, for him, he's able to do it because he's able to focus when he does that. Your issue there is that you're having trouble focus when you just doing stuff like that.
Absolutely. How are you doing? How am I doing? Not too good. Think about Raymond. I get that. Me too. It's one of the reasons I'm moving through my routine. Helps me center myself. Still think he's alive? Yeah. Good. We keep running. Keep looking. He picks up an ammo box and begins using it like a dumbbell. By the way, I gotta tell you, you're pretty good at running this crew, Cass, but there's something I don't completely understand. What do you get out of being a Shadowrunner? This is such a brutal one. I get to hurt people for money. Freedom. I'm not a cog in the corporate machine. Sure you're not. Come on, Cass, think. Of course you're a cog. Everyone's a cog. Whether you're working for them, consuming the crap, getting brainwashed by them, voting for them, being policed by them, you're a cog. And you're the lowest kind. A Shadowrunner. Disposable, sinless. Slithering through the cracks of society, doing jobs that are too dirty for the corpse to do themselves. You don't even appear on a corporate balance sheet. Runners can be more than just that. They can move their own agenda, fight the power. I've never heard of a story where a Shadowrunner did something other than kill someone, steal something, or perpetrate some sort of shady shit. But, good luck with that. Duncan watches you to say something. I want to talk about you and me. Yeah, I guess now is as good a time as any. You start. Oh, Carter was his captain. Okay. Yeah, let's ask about that one. Seems like Carter's death hit you pretty hard. Yeah, she was a good one. We were a real team. Joining Lone Star helped me in all sorts of important ways, no doubt about it. I really embraced being a cop. Studied my ass off. But no matter how hard I worked, I was never more than a model cop with a brutal streak. There were plenty of assignments that were perfect for a big old mean orc like me. Assignments that would have fed in my need to hurt people. But I met Carter about a year in, and then she changed things. Talked about values and goals and priorities and constructing the life that you want to live. She was a real trip. Sounds wise. Pauses, stretching for a moment. Huh. Never thought that was a word as a way to describe her. Wise. From an outside perspective, I guess you'd say that, but to me she was just grounded. She knew who she was, what she was, where she was going, and what got her there. Carter understood how the world worked, but compartmentalized it so she could focus on making a life for herself that made sense. She kept me focused. When Raymond asked me to meet him in Hong Kong, I had a feeling I was going to wind up going off the reservation if I didn't bring her along. And now she's gone. And here I am. I say that you honor her memory by showing her how much you've learned. Duncan's mouth dropped open and curves into a grin. He shakes his head, still smiling. I'm sorry, did Cassandra Harding just give me sage advice? Sounds like you did some growing up of your own. Also, God, this is such a weird way to end the dialogue, because, like, you just cut into something else. You're not acting like the Duncan that I grew up with. What made you decide to become a cop? I needed structure. Bad. You know that better than anyone. I was already hardcore when we met Mr. Ultra-Violence. I'd do anything to get a rise out of the guys I was rolling with. Gouging eyes, inverting knees, curb stomping. That shit got me cheers, and I was like a pit fighter, bloodletting for the crowd. And I learned to enjoy it. But I never learned how to block out the memories of their screams when I was lying in bed at night. The guilt started eating me alive. And then I was scared to be alone with my thoughts. So I tried to drown them out with all the things that you drown things out with. You never told me that before. You seemed to have it under control when we were together. It's funny how people remember things. When we squatted together and later, when we were living with Ray, I was still a violent son of a bitch, but basically under control. But that was you, Combo. You were the voice of reason, the brains. Me, the brains. Don't pretend you weren't the leader. You knew how it was. We ran the streets, I was the muscle, you called the shots. You'd point, I'd hit. But later, after Ray got me some counseling, I realized I let you call the shots so that I wouldn't have to. Because I knew what I wanted was wrong. By following your lead, I was deflecting my own guilt onto you. I could just knock heads and walk away clean, you know? Don't look at me, I'm just doing what I'm told. And then, you left. Without you there, I knew I was in serious trouble. The poster boy of anger management issues. Raymond could provide a stable environment, a decent therapist, and money for prescriptions, but, you know, Raymond, he's an egghead with a philanthropist streak, not a drill sergeant. And a drill sergeant was what I needed. I needed structure and discipline in a way that he couldn't offer. I needed a cage to keep myself in line. So I found myself a cage made of rules and procedures and training. Lone Star. Raymond helped me with my application and provided a decent character reference. I got in and it helped a lot. Lone Star got me where I needed to be. And now it's all gone and you're back. You've been waiting a long time to ask me about the night I left, haven't you? Duncan chuckles and hooks his thumb to his belt. I guess I have, yeah. It's about what you were doing before you got thrown into that court facility. You said that you had a friend who was in a bind, but that was all you could say. How'd it go? Let's just say we're not friends anymore and leave it at that. Whatever you say. Do you ever think about when we were kids? I try not to. What are you talking about exactly? The old gang, Lockjaw, Double Tray, those guys. You realize that the old gang you were talking about were teenagers, right? Younger than Gobbet. Man, they felt so old back then, but Lockjaw couldn't have been more than 17. And Double Tray was only 13 when... Why are you thinking about them? I don't know. Guess I was thinking about anywhere but Hong Kong. Oh, that's the wrong one. I don't even know what I clicked there. Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's how you beat the streets. I remember. I remember Double Tray saying that. Oh, I clicked the Double Tray option. I remember Double Tray saying that. It was while we were living between the red hot nukes and the 162s. Crazy ass dwarf anox on one side, ghouls on the other. Those are the days you long for? Long for? No. I was just thinking about it's the same as back then. Survive and watch each other's backs. Yeah, I know. You think about getting chromed up? With cyber? Oh my god, how many times are you gonna ask me that? Oh, at least a couple dozen more times. You always have the best reactions. I told you one time I was thinking about it when I was 13. Let it go. I'm not gonna pollute my body with that shit. You? This is funny because, like, you could say I'm magic, of course I'm not gonna get cyberized, but I'm sitting on cybernetics in my body right now. But it's an option to click. Ooh, look at me, I got magic. Of course I wouldn't get cybered. Yeah, I guess you got a point there. It's good, by the way. Better to keep yourself whole and in touch with the world around you. I may not have magic, but I know it's true.
I think losing the ability to use magic by chroming yourself up sounds like a skill issue.
I can kind of see
And
it.
I know it has to do with more like purity and whatnot, humanity and all of it. But you know what? But it's still like usually like someone in your party, you could probably say you could just argue it's just prosthetics.
See, like, my thought was, like, you were physically gouging the magic-capable parts out of you when you get chromed. I didn't even think about, like, the humanity aspect of it.
I mean, you could probably like because the thing is like that you like if you're talking about like chi flow in your body and whatnot, I'm sure like there's they've developed methods to deal with that.
Oh, you mean, like, just turn copper into, like, a functioning magical ley line in your body?
Yeah.
I could see that. But there's probably a lot more to the mechanics that we just haven't looked into the books of.
Yeah, because it is you know, the Shadowrun is usually actual tabletop like that, so there's a whole thing about it. But it just still just feels like one. I guess balancing in a way, but also feels kind of like you know, it's still a skill issue.
It feels like with the hyper technology, there should be a way to adapt magic into cybernetics. But also, the last chapter showed us that magic is not exactly easy to deal with. I think much like with, what was it, Arcanum? The law of magic in this world is that magic is the defiance of logic, and thus machinery doesn't really play well with it. I think if I had to, like, put a pin of logic into it, is that if you're chroming yourself up, you're binding yourself to the logic of the real world, and thus losing the capacity for the absurdity of magic. Anyway, don't get me wrong, catching up is nice, but I'm used to being social. It's one of the reasons why it was so nice to work under Carter. We both appreciated long silences. Sorry, man, she seemed like good people. It's all good. She's gone, and I've accepted that. I guess it's just been a big day is all. Anyway, good talk. I'll catch up with you later. Oh, we're already here. You enter to find Duncan stalking the floor silently, one hand rigidly near his hip, the other flexing and unflexing again and again. When he notices you, he nods once and goes back to his caged panther routine. You're gonna wear a hole in the floor that way. Need something? Yeah, drink. Looks like you could use one too. Or Club 88 has a 2-for-1 between 4 and 6. But you'll have to drink them both. I don't put drugs or alcohol in my buddy. Hey, thanks for the raid, Tamashi. How's it going?
You love this guy, straight edge. Not only uses a copy, he's a straight edge boy.
See, I see. What were you playing? I don't really have a bot set up to tell me what you're playing, but I can at least give you a shout out.
Usually when you do the shout out command, usually just like you're supposed to like tell you what their last stream is.
If it's a bot, if it's the Twitch command, you just get the you know, follow these guys. Wii retro achievements for Zelda Twilight Princess. Oh man. Well, it's Twilight Princess. It's not as bad. I was thinking of
It depends on what the achievements are, really.
yeah, I was thinking of Ocean One. Why isn't my brain thinking of the name? What was Ocean Zelda? Wind Waker. I was thinking of Wind Waker, where if you were playing it on original hardware, it would be fucking miserable. Mainly because of the
Wind
Triforce
Waker.
Quest.
Honestly, all I had to say about Wind Waker is that people are like, well, Wind Waker is great. My idea of Wind Waker is great, but I actually hate the sailing.
It is a lot of downtime in between, and I feel like the Wii U version fixed that because they truncate a lot of the space. But also, the Wii U gives you like the Super Sail, which is also just fast. And they cut the the Triforce Hunt by like 60%. It's so much better.
Yeah, and also it's just I don't know. It's not the downtime. It's like it just the traveling just feel like a lot of nothing, but it's also like I don't really like how like a lot of the boat gameplay is.
I could kind of see that. These decisions seem so mean. I'm just gonna let that one go. I take it you're stewing about Song? I don't want to tease Duncan like this. It feels like it'd be a mean thing to do as a sibling. That's right. Let's think about what she did to our family. What she did to Carter. It's time for the old Duncan to come out and play. Here's what we do. We walk into Sang's headquarters and ask for the boss. When she comes out, we grab her, take her somewhere quiet, and ask why she had Carter and those runners killed. Find out what happened to Raymond, whether he's alive or dead. What happens next is up to her. Kidnap a member of the Hong Kong Executive Council when there's an APB out on us. It's bold. They'll never see it coming. That's the way to go. My way. My way, Duncan? Yeah. My way. There's one way this is gonna go. Oh crap, that's what Ray used to say. Raymond Black, our benevolent dictator. No questioning his rules, no falling short of his expectations. It was his way or the wrong way. Or do you get the full-on Raymond treatment? I didn't care to be on the receiving end of that. And I was more than once, that's for sure. You remember what happened a few years after we moved out to the squat and into his house? The thing with Doubletree... What? What's that sentence? Remember what happened a few years back after we moved out of the squat into his house? Oh, I see. The thing with Doubletree and Lockjaw, where he accused us of relapsing back into our old ways. Man, that was when Ray's authority finally got tested. When I finally stood up to him. Yeah, the way he handled that was part of the reason why I eventually left. He just wouldn't listen. I thought I might have been part of it. But to be fair, I wasn't listening either. That was our pattern, wasn't it? I wouldn't listen, he wouldn't listen, and then we butted heads, rinse and repeat once every 2 weeks. But that time was the worst. Okay, Miss Harding. We don't need to do things my way. No need for us to butt heads. And on that note, I'm gonna have to ask you to clear out. It's been another long day. I got a feeling there's gonna be a lot of long days. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling too. Anyway, have a good night. I'll catch you next dialogue tree. Is there another dialogue tree that we could grab? Yep. We're just kind of getting these all at once, aren't we? Shit. You find Duncan sitting on his bed and staring at the floor when you come to his cabin. He rubs his head up and back, occasionally stopping to softly bounce his palm against his forehead. When he notices you, he closes his eyes and shakes his head. Not in the mood to talk right now. Gotta wrap my brain around this Edward Song thing. Oh god, we are so far behind on his dialogue. Holy shit.
Can't believe you neglected your brother again.
That's the thing, is that, like, I'm not used to the idea of having to exhaust every dialogue tree. Mainly because stuff like Pathologic has kind of, like, put the idea in my head that if you press every button, you're going to get your wrists fucking slapped. Tough finding out that Raymond isn't who.
Remember, every game does their things differently.
It's true. Tough finding out Raymond who isn't who he thought he was. Wow, that was bad. Yep, that's pretty much what I was thinking. 16 years. We lived with him 16 years and we never knew the man. 16 motherfucking years. I just gotta think. Work through this. Walk into a mess, half-eaten cans of food litter the floor, and a personal equipment is strewn about in a haphazard fashion. Shadowrun wants you to explore. Shadowrun wants you to beat you up while you explore. Yeah. It's the problem of you get into, like, a pattern of behavior. Then when you go into a new thing like this, that old behavior still kind of lingers, you know? Personal equipment is strewn about in a haphazard fashion. Amid the mess, Duncan sits in his bunk with his back against the wall. He has a PDA in his hands and is staring down at it, sullen and morose. I wouldn't call it muscle memory. It's more like behavioral programming, you know? Kind of, it's effectively mental muscle memory, but it's that. Want me to come back later? Doesn't matter. Go, stay, whatever. This is so fucking funny, because, like, we're watching Duncan speedrun the stages of grief at high speed. And it's all my fault. I assume you're here to talk. What are you looking at on the PDA? A video of Ed. Where'd you get it? Isabel dug it up. It's archival footage from the Walled Street project. What's he like? Younger. I mean, it's from 20 years ago, but he looks a lot younger. And rich. And powerful. And his name is Edward. You want to see it? Yeah, fire it up. Sure. Why not? Duncan taps a button and turns the PD around so you could see it. The footage shows a serious Chinese man in an expensive suit sitting behind a large, solid wood desk covered in blueprints. The man is holding a magnifying glass over one of the plants and studying it intently. He folds the blueprint over and checks the one beneath it. The nameplate on the desk reads Edward Song, Vice President of Special Projects. The video is rough and contains no sound. It may have been footage from a documentary that was never completed. The next shot is from some sort of planning meeting in a glass-enclosed conference room. The serious man is sitting at the table, pointing to a large map and looking up at men standing around him, explaining something. They look at each other and nod, clearly impressed by what he has to say. The whiteboard at the end of the room bears the words "Groundbreaking 21st of May 2022," written in bold letters. Oh, I'm glad we diverged from the reality where fucking Kowloon was made again in 2022. We don't need that. The footage cuts to a scene of two people talking at the end of a long hallway. They don't appear to know whether they're being recorded. It's a serious man listening intently to what an older woman has to say. nodding with his arms crossed and his thumb at his lips. The woman is the same one that was in the tapped video call that Kindly Cheng showed you. Josephine Song. She is someone in her late middle age. Beautiful and very clearly in charge. The two look up at the same time, see the camera, and begin waving their hands for it to be turned off. The woman appears angry but cold. The video ends and Duncan puts his PDA face down on his bunk. Who is that guy? The guy who cleaned us up, gave us a home. Not this guy, this is some corporate big shot. The man who raised me was a community organizer. He wore sweaters. Maybe when we find the plastic-faced man, we could get some answers. Till then, Raymond Black is Raymond Black. This guy is somebody else. Been thinking about the way you and Raymond used to butt heads. What about it? I never really had that problem with him. Of course not. You knew how to avoid conflict with him. And you had that way of diffusing him when he started that intense array thing he used to do, remember? Wow, I haven't thought of that in a long time. I think you were the one who came up with that name. It was like the summer after we started living with him and Miss Maloney. Raymond found out we hadn't followed one of his rules. I don't remember which, that was a long list. I think you were still smoking. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I was smoking and he was pissed and said that fat kids who smoke die faster. So just to be obstinate, I told him I liked to smoke and we got into it. Then you came in and diffused everything. I think that's why I was so resentful when you took off. Especially after Miss Maloney died. You were the only one who could get through to him when he became that. Like the day the 162s decided they wanted our squat? I don't want to talk about that one. I got enough on my mind as it is. Stuff like my father betraying my trust. Clanking of metal followed by grunts from hard exercise erupt from the hatchway of Duncan's cabin. As we're still standing here, he immediately goes back to exercising. The first thing you notice when you enter is his renewed cleanliness. The food cans are gone in a split fucking second, and everything is neatly laid out in bedding. Everything has its place. Oh man, we fucked this up real bad. We really did just speedrun Duncan's entire story. What did I do that triggered it? The next thing you notice is a smell. It's like a middle school locker in July.
Your strange sibling finally comes back. Hey, we're allowed to have been upended. Oh, we're runners now. Also, I'm not going to talk to you ever. Sorry. Bye-bye. Come back. I had to talk to you a while. Okay, here's my entire life story.
Hey, I got over our dad thing, you know? Duncan, I've been here for 20 minutes. Duncan finishes his jumping jack.
Yeah, well, I'll catch up to you. Okay, here we go.
Just a fucking fast forward button. Duncan finishes his jumping jacks and grabs a towel off the bunk. His exposed flesh gleams with perspiration. Hey. How's it going? Better. I let myself wallow for a while, like 20 seconds, but now it's time to turn things around. We got work to do. What's your deal? Still thinking about Ed? Compartmentalized him. Ed is a topic in a file cabinet in my head. I'm only thinking about Ray now. Finding out what happened to him. What really happened to him. Taking it a moment at a time, huh? That's me, Mr. Focus. We're getting close to the plastic-faced man. I know. I haven't stopped thinking about him since we first saw him in that video. The one where he attacked Raymond in the tea house. Listen, Cassandra. I'm not going to press you to take me with you when we head out to snatch him. Oh, then we have to absolutely take him. You take the right people for the job, and then you get the job done, okay? But I want to be there when you interrogate him. I want to hear what he has to say with my own ears. Are you going to have a problem with that? Sorry, I just noticed there's like a weird, like, scrap of skin that's just kind of hanging off, and I can't focus until I like get rid of that. There we go. Okay. No, of course not. Good. You're my sister. I'd hate to have to mess you up. Like you said, you could take me with you on the run or not, it's your call, but I intend to be there for the fun part. Oh, we'll both have fun with the plastic-faced man. Good. Let's go to town on him together. This is the guy who knows what the hell is going on. The one who may have killed Raymond. I'm gonna squeeze him until I find out what his fucking ancestors know. We'll do what we gotta do to get the answers we need. Damn right. You told me you were resentful when I took off, but maybe it was about how Raymond handled the thing with Doubletray. Nah, it was about you disappearing for 8 years without a word, but that's in the past now. But that was a messed up night. A lot of things happened. I wouldn't be surprised if some, I don't know, emotions got jumbled together. About the fight with Raymond? Yeah, mostly. We butted heads before. I broken plenty of rules in the past. But I've never seen him so disappointed. I still don't know why. Oh, I didn't even mute that. Fuck. Ugh. Well, hopefully it didn't go through the mic. Why don't you walk through the beginning? Start with when Lockjaw showed up at Ray's house. So that was 2045. Years after the summer, we moved in with Raymond. We hadn't seen DT or Lockjaw or any of the gang in forever. Raymond's rules: no contact with our hoodlum friends, no visiting the squat to check up on them. One thing I do like about the relationship between Duncan is that the player character is that it does read as the strange siblings trying to reconcile, so long as you're not taking the maximum asshole options. It's nice that it's a lot of leading statements. It allows you to, you know, be your own character, but also, like, keep you within the, what's it called? Keep you within the scope of the plot without deviating too much. And also, like, letting you choose how it is. Like, I forget what it was. I think it was a story about... It was an interview with BioWare talking about the Renegade options and how, like... What was it? 95% of people only took the Paragon options? And they felt kind of like a little disappointed that nobody did the Renegade options more often or, like, go back to do them. It's definitely coded in the fact that we as humans tend to, you know, avoid being dicks and try to just generally be socially amicable. But I do like the fact that they still give you the option, you know? Because, like, it shows how much thought is put into the process without just, you know, assuming, I wouldn't say the worst, but just, like, assuming certain things about the player that don't typically, you know, fit half the time.
It's one of the things that it says that whenever Renegade, like, Renegade, it says you want people to do more Renegade, you have to make it more like enticing to do Renegade. But then, other than just being, you know, this sound like a huge dick. Like there's a Renegade option where you just like just shove a guy out a window, or just like this like what fuck you punch it like this punch a reporter.
I guess the question is, what is the incentive for you, Festival? Because, like, I don't really have that idea in me of, like, I personally don't think I could ever choose, you know, the bad boy option. I've learned that...
I'm just saying more in general. Like, if you want you're gonna put like the bad options, and you want people to think about doing the bad options other than the good boy options, because you know most people are gonna do the good boy options because not a lot of people like being like don't feel good choosing the bad boy options. You have to present it in a way that will entice people to do it more.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the enticing thing would be, but like,
It really depends on the context of the situations and whatnot.
yeah, fair. Like, I guess the best example of that would be back in Dragonfall when I was doing Glory's story arc. Like, I was incentivized to, make a lot of really bad decisions because I thought getting rid of a predator cultist leader was a good idea. Apparently was not, but, It's also coded in BioWare's track record, where until Mass Effect, doing the red option was always, you're now going to do a kitten-eating evil. Yeah. It's hard to write that kind of depth, really. Your past is just a story. If you could accept that, your past loses all power over you. You don't sound anything like him. The way I remember it, we woke up in the middle of the night, and there was Lockjaw standing in our room covered in blood. My first thought was that Raymond was gonna kill us. Can you imagine? There's a teenage Salish Indian covered in blood in our bedroom. My first thought might get in trouble for it. We were starting our new life and safe for the first time. We didn't want to blow it. Went really bad. Evil options, look at Jade Empire. Yeah, I'd imagine that was like just the turn of the century, right? So I'd imagine that writing was I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that writing was kind of hammy by merit of nobody had ever actually done. Nobody had the capacity to write in that much volume before, in that space yet.
I know. I feel like I haven't played much of it, but part of me feels like Match 3 probably did think the evil option better. Jade Empire had things like a child possessed by two demons, a good demon and a bad demon. Do you choose which one for the character to choose which demon you want to be the one in control of the girl. Another thing is one of the like big bad guys that you face. You can recruit, but they're like essentially a reanimated corpse. You could just like do the good option and just let them die, or the evil option and just recruit them. And when you recruit them, everyone on your team hates you for it.
That's wild. Alright. I know I didn't want to go back to the Barrens. We had it good at Raymond's. Duncan throws his elbow behind him, twists at the waist. So, Lockjaw's bleeding all over in our bedroom, and you're whisper yelling, "Where's DT? What happened to Doubletray?" 5 minutes later, we're dressed in black and on our way back to the Barrens. What the hell were we thinking? We were thinking that we owed those guys. DT was the one that took us to the teen center, introduced us to Raymond. Man, that was a messed up night. The 162s overran the Leary squat, better positioned to take on the Newts. Benzo and Tusk were bleeding out, the Hernandez family was half-eaten. Little Joe, the streetwalker with the electric false eyelashes, was lying on the floor in 2 parts. But we got Doubletray out alive. He was the only one, though. I could still hear Lockjaw screaming as the ghouls took him down. When the 162s wanted something, they didn't play. All that was just the lead-up. But still, it speaks to my state of mind that night. Why I wouldn't back down when Raymond met us at the door? Neither one of you would budge. We both had the strength of the righteous. You and I had broken his rules out of loyalty and gratitude. He just didn't get that. But can you see it from his perspective? Now I can, yeah. He didn't just think we had broken his rules or that we'd backslid. He thought we'd been playing him the whole year, that we were still street hoods. No wonder he felt so furious. He felt betrayed. Probably the evilest thing you could do in Planescape Torment involves digging into Dakon's past, finding out he swore a life vow to the Nameless One decades before, so he is honor-bound to not disobey you. You could also find an enslaved Githzerai who asked Dakan for the right of being mercy killed. If you are aware of his path, you could order him to torture her to death. Wow. Yeah, that'd be that'd be a pretty dick move. But you were able to get him to calm down and see reason. Get him to see my side of the story. And all you said was the one thing. The thing he said his mother used to say to him when he was being obstinate. What the hell was it? Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Ooh, that's a good line, honestly. Yeah, that intent to reply thing really got to him. He saw that every time I was talking, he was thinking of the next thing to say back. Using his mother's words on him really did the trick. Wonder what kind of childhood he had. The way he looked at you after that. I know. I think they may have been part of why I left. Yeah, I get it. We're cool now. As for Edward, maybe he's got mommy issues. Who knows? Maybe I got a few daddy issues to deal with too. Guess I should try and keep an open mind when we see him. Is that the dialogue? That's it? An hour of talking with Duncan. Wow.
So what neglect happened, you guys?
Yeah. Now let's see the NPC I am actually hyped to talk with. Hey, Gobbet, what's up? Let's get back to the lesson you were teaching. I guess we can't get the Gobbet one right now. Sorry, the lesson wound up getting a little unfocused at the end. I'm not really sure what came over to me. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Well, I still feel bad about it. So look, I'll make you a deal. Your next lesson will definitely be on point. And I'll tell you what it is about up front. No more questions and answer sessions. How's that sound? Fine by me? Now will this trigger? Gaba glances up at you at the sound of your approach. A smile crosses her face. Hey, pal. You ready for the next lesson? Absolutely. Hit me with it. Straight to business. I like that. Good. This one's about the people like Auntie Cheng and why we need them. There won't be a Q&A session after the story, but I want you to listen up. It's important. I'm all ears. Like, literally, look at my portrait. It is all ears. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixers are important. You can't just go to a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. Why? Because Auntie Cheng and people like her serve a purpose. You could get a job from her and you could trust she's vetted the client. It's important. It protects the whole team. You, remember that lesson from last time about Sui and the shiny object? How could I forget? Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for an R&R. Sui told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we had to do was keep the thing safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We killed an evil wizard with a stolen priceless artifact. A good night's work by anyone's standard. Hono and Egret got good and drunk in record time. Sui went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at it for a while or something. I retired to my cabin and crashed out. It was a long night. I remember waking up to sounds. Yelling, maybe? I was groggy and they were far away. I couldn't quite make it out. The clock said 4:30. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. So loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual, but something felt off somehow. I used to get that feeling every now and then in the Barrens. I learned to listen to it. Yeah, it's a lot like a panic attack, really. The full body certainty that something is wrong. So I went up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know, and if it wasn't, I figured I might as well get in on the party. I stepped out into the hallway and my foot slipped. I came down hard and landed on my ass and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. Hello? No, it was pretty bad. So it was pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought that the shiny object might have, I don't know, unleashed something? After what I saw it do in the warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I shook that off pretty quick, though. I knew what this was. Our client was paying us. He hired us to steal the thing, and rather than paying us for the job, he sent another team to take it away. So, what'd you do? I got up and beeline for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing that the sinking ship had to a leader and the strongest rat shaman on the raft. If the raft's under attack, I probably would have done that too. Yeah, seemed like the right thing at the time. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object and they were strong enough to handle Sui while I was holding it, what chance would I have of stopping them on my own? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one whom I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down to Malvina's cabin. It was old man Shuyan's vault all over again. Torn up bodies, blood-streaked floors. I saw people who'd been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on the container walls. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the throbbing vibration of the shiny object. The heartbeat feeling that I had in the warehouse, it was back and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. Did you make it to her cabin? Yeah. Bust through the door all ready to spread the news, and someone smashed a gun in my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhawk into my chest so hard it hurt, and then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand, and I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder, I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. Did they think you were in on the attack somehow? Yeah, only it wasn't an attack. Our client had nothing to do with it. Turns out there was no client. Sui had lied to us. By helping to steal the shiny object, I'd unwittingly given him what he needed to foment a mutiny. She paused for a moment, gathered her rats in her hands, and lifted them to her shoulders. They scurry over into the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. And it turns out, betrayal really hurts. Malvina felt it, and I felt it too. Sui had been a friend. I risked my life to save his like 4 hours ago. And he tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. Why do you think he did it? Why all this over a heap of junk floating in a bay? I don't know. Maybe he'd gone toxic. Maybe he got ambitious and wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hill. He didn't discuss it with me first or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone rotten in Sui long before we ever met. And he was pretty damn good at hiding it. Maybe he was possessed? I don't know why he did it. Frankly, I don't care. The only important thing is that he did. So, what did you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was right on edge, like red-faced and screaming. So, I opened my mouth and fast-talked my way out of it. I started out by doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo of the sinking ship. Swear to my undying friendship, you know the drill, I did a good job of it. But they still looked at me a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad. So I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Sui. That follows. I guess, I mean, he only had it because of you, right? That was the idea, yeah. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I inadvertently helped him to arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't want to get into the details. Friends died. Hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother, all that jazz. And Sui's indiscriminate use of the object left a lot of things in the world that shouldn't have been. So did you wind up stealing the thing back? Yeah. It wasn't easy, but I got it. How'd you manage that? Lies and misdirection. Trickery. That helped. Some of the things that Sui let loose actually came in handy. He'd summoned so many that he couldn't hope to control them all, and that gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I managed to trick my way past Sui's supporters and the astral menagerie that he summoned. Wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I stole the shiny object and all was right with the world. And yes, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things I'm not proud of, and people died because of it. But I got the damn thing, and I got it back to Malvina. What happened then? The official rulebook of 5th edition says this about the Super Warhawk. This revolver is as loud as a jetliner and twice as shiny. It's also one of the scariest handguns in the world. The cased ammo variant is popular for the sheer thrill of swinging it open the cylinder gate one-handed and dumping the spent brass. Oh, so it's just basically a fucking... It's basically like a 44 revolver Desert Eagle. What happened then? Long story short, Malvina put the object to better use than Sui ever did. She took the thing like she'd grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Sui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. It's a hand cannon revolver. Ah. After the skirmish, Malvina had an assembly. She told everyone that there would be new rules for life on the raft. Anyone who refused could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. Rules of the sea and all that. After that pronouncement, she turned on the surviving mutineers. Honu was one of them. He'd been in the Sui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill them, but she did exile them from the sinking ship. And for people in our economic bracket, that was as good as a one-way trip to the walled city. I'd be willing to bet that they're all dead by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship. I was one of them. Why'd you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I loved anymore. And as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good, but sad terms, and as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny. I hadn't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years. Not until I decided to teach you your previous lessons, and it all came flooding back. She pauses and turns to you. And that's the story. It's finished. But I want to circle back on the lesson I gave you up front because it's important. We need Auntie Cheng to bring us work, that's obvious. But we also need her to keep us honest. To be sure that we, on the team, are playing straight with one another. Auntie Cheng's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the job she brings in. And that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Cheng, or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the sinking ship, and it could happen again in Haoi. And that's the lesson. If you got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask. What did Malvina do with this shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the thing that Sui had let loose, then put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or another, held under lock and key. She should have hucked that thing into the bay. Yeah, agreed. I didn't like it either. But then she'd already proven that she could handle the thing, and it did help her put down Sui's mutiny. Plus, she's a shaman. We deal in dangerous magic beyond mortal ken on a daily basis. It's not that weird for us. If you say so. Like I said, I'd have preferred if she ditched the thing, but in the end, it wasn't my choice to make. From what little I heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess it worked out okay. What happened with Sui? That walking colostomy bag is already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't as good as controlling them without it. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fail. Thanks, Gobbet. Sure. And thanks for listening, Seattle. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think they help me a ton too. And it's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. No problem. I look forward to the next one. Yeah. Me too. Now gotta move on. I got Gobbet things to do. Like, eat this garbage can. I don't think she'd actually do that, but, like, the stuff she eats is quite frightening. Also, all this talking is kind of dried up my throat. I'll be back super quick. Okay. Basically Leon's hand cannon from Resi 9. Oh, that ridiculous looking thing. The thing that's like, everyone depicts as like double the size of, what's her name, Ashley? Now does Gobbet thing advance like Duncan's did, where we just get everything at once? Yes, Grace. Ah, okay. As you enter Gobbet's cabin, two things grab your attention. The first is Gobbet herself. She looks exhausted, bleary-eyed. The easy smile that you've come to associate with her is nowhere to be seen. The second is what she's doing. Gobbet appears to be in the middle of a valiant attempt to stuff a whole roasted duck into a saucepan half its size. The bird's rubbery neck flops from side to side with every heave of her shoulders. She looks up from the saucepan, blinking. A corner of her mouth twitches upward, but the half-smile fades away almost immediately. Oh. Hey, Seattle. Caught me at a bad time. I was, making dinner. Compressed duck? Looks delicious. Huh? Oh yeah, it is getting a little squished, isn't it? I could use a bigger pot, but I have to wash it first. She glances down at the pile of dirty clothes and is sort of detritus on the floor of her cabin. And to do that, I'd have to find it, but I'm hungry now and I got this duck, so... She gives the bird another heave. Something gives way with an audible crunch. Anyway, you, want something? I'm up to my elbows in mallard. You feeling alright? You don't look well. She rubs the bridge of her nose with a pair of greasy fingers, leaving a smudge of duck fat on her nose. It's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I felt, I don't know, preoccupied with the sinking ship. I don't really do the whole haunted by the demons of my past thing. It's fine for some people, but I'm allergic to drama. Generally, when thoughts of the past get me down, I remind myself that it doesn't matter, I laugh it off, and go have a snack. Oh, Steve! Hey, dude! Welcome to the stream! What'd you play? This time, I don't know, it's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I haven't been able to get the sinking ship out of my mind. I didn't even realize you were streaming. Played WoW and Fortnite. Ah. Man, wow, I haven't heard that name in a fucking while. Holy shit. She looks down at the pot of mangled duck on the counter. I guess I'm just worried about Cad and Mal, which is weird because why would I be? I haven't even spoken to them in years. Hell, if anything, they should be worried about me. I'm the one who gets shot at for a living. Then think about playing these. They're very good narrative adventures. Like, we've been going through them ourselves and having a grand old time. But also get ready for a lot of reading. Maybe we should go check it out. Sinking ship isn't that far, is it? No, I don't want to do that now. This without a good reason. It'd be awkward, and I'm sure that it's nothing anyway. Actually, check that. I know what this is. My own personal version of the same thing we were all feeling. The psychic sewage has been dredged out by all of us by whatever's happening in the walled city. I'm sure that you had some flashes of memory from the Barrens in your bad dreams, right? Images of your past coming back to haunt you. But you're not going to drop everything to go running back there because that'd be dumb. So tell me, why should I? Because the sinking ship's like 15 minutes from here and it couldn't hurt to check. Also, thanks for the sub, Steve. Look, I don't want to go back there if I don't have to. If thinking about the place is enough to mess with me like this, I don't know what being there will do. But I'll tell you what. I'll drop Malvina a line, just to check in, making sure that this is a me problem and not a them problem. And if it is something going on, I promise you'll be the first to know. All right, Gobbit, that's the way you want to play it. It is. Now, is there anything else you wanted to do, or can I get back to my duck? Yeah, sure. And everything will be fine. See? If there's anything fishy happening on the sinking ship, you and Iz will be the first to know. I promise. And now, because of the nature of how the game plays, almost immediately something went wrong. Hey, not really in the mood to hang out right now, you know? Heavy stuff going down. It'll be fine for the time being, but I'd rather be alone. Talk later, though. Oh, it's just a stone cold stop now, huh? Am I actually cooked on the side quest? Isabel's jacked into the octopus. Her body sits inert, breathing shallow. As you approach, an image blossoms onto the largest of the octopus's view screens. Hello down there. Good to see you again. She smiles down at you from the monitor, her outline scintillating with blue-white light. She looks peaceful and at ease. You really feel at home in the Matrix, don't you? You look happy there. I suppose that I am. It's a comfort thing. As long as I'm jacked in, I could be whoever I want to be. Whatever I want to be. Like this roll of toilet paper. Poop. Pop. Out there in meat space, I usually feel uncomfortable in my own skin. I'd probably just live in here if I could. I heard about Deckers who tried it. Never turned out well. Dehydration's a bad way to go. I know, and of course I was joking. But truth be told, I do spend most of my time out there wishing I were back in here. If you were a Decker, you'd feel the same. It's hard to live in a cage of meat when you know how sweet it feels to leave your body behind. What's that line in 40K? The minute I understood the weakness of flesh, it disgusted me or something. That's a nice avatar. Looks good on you. Isn't it? Spent months customizing this. She feels more real to me than my own skin. Ooh, man. This feels, familiar and topical lately. Ah, we have a link. From the moment I understood the weakness of flesh, it disgusted me. Yes, this line. She pauses for a moment, considering, then her avatar shimmers forward, filling the screen. A slight frown crosses her face. You know, Combo, I've been thinking about the question you asked me a while back. The one about the walled city that I, dodged. You don't have to make a big thing about it. It's fine. It isn't, though. Not really. I cheated you out of an answer that I owed you. For what it's worth, I wasn't trying to do that. It's just talking about the walled city is problematic for me. I understand. I grew up in the Barrens. I know how hard it could be to talk about this stuff. No, it isn't that. I'm not explaining myself correctly. It isn't that I'm tortured by bad memories or anything like that. The problem is I can't remember my childhood. The walled city, the entire chapter of my life is nothing but a blur to me. I can give you general information about life on the inside, but the specifics of my own experience are gone. What do you mean, gone? Do you have amnesia or something? Something like that. There are a variety of factors at play. The upshot of all this is that there are things I could tell you about, but only a few, and only in bold strokes. Don't expect any personal stories. Couldn't share them even if I wanted to. So, if that's okay with you, if you'll be satisfied by trivia and urban legend, then we can talk. Just say the word. Otherwise, well, at least now you know why. How do you lose your childhood memories? I'd rather not go into that. It's personal. Suffice to say I never missed them. At least not until now. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm a good listener. Great. I'll keep that in mind. Give me what you can about the walled city at this point. Anything will help. Alright. I could do that. Isabel's avatar turns, begins to pace on the screen. When she steps, spider webs of light spread across the tiled ground of the octopus's sculpted matrix hub. When I think of the walled city, the thing that stands out the most in my mind is the legend, the mythology of the place. If I hadn't lived with them, I might have found those stories fascinating. Did you know that Kowloon Walled City is supposed to be cursed? That's what the locals believe. We have ghost stories and everything. Ghost stories? Our own homegrown legends about things that haunted the walled city. Demons from other places. The Yama Kings. Wait, the walled city is possessed by demons? Yes, they are. We actually have research documents on this, Cass. No, not really. It's supposed to be easier. The Yama Kings. It's probably easier to think of the Yama Kings as urban legends. Our own little pantheon of monsters and morality. Tall tales about things with claws to frighten ourselves with at night. The stories are still clear in my mind even after everything that happened. Everyone in the walled city believed them. You can't get out of the walled city if you make a deal with Fu Mang. Cut the heads of 44 people closest to you and bring them to him. He will reward you with riches. Don't go under that arch or Kyan Ya will catch you. She'll rip out your teeth, tie your tongue in a knot, and make you her slave for eternity. We had Qing Shang, our own homegrown judge of souls. People would let themselves be flayed alive in hopes that he'd reawaken them in a better life. And then we had Lam Vai, the Ebony Queen, who teach you to hide so well that you'd slowly mutate into a cockroach. It's all bullshit, of course, but everyone in the walled city believed that. I wouldn't write off those stories so easily, though. Magic is real. Of course it is, I know that, but the Yama Kings can't be real. If they were, the body count in walled city would be a lot higher. The Yama Kings are glorified kid stories, make-believe, a fiction that my parents and neighbors invented to excuse their own actions. I can't get ahead because demons are keeping me down. Oh, woe is me. It's almost embarrassingly transparent when you look at it. Lamvi turning people into cockroaches. It's just a Kafkaesque trope layered onto a morality tale. Chi Xiang, he's just Anubis with a different coat of paint. You know that archway, the one that Kya is supposed to haunt? I knew someone who found it. There's nothing on the other side but concrete. It's all superstitious drivel combo. The misery in the walled city isn't the fault of demons or devils. We create it and perpetuate it. We blame made-up monsters for our own failings. There's nothing more pathetic than that. Sounds like you're trying to less like you're trying to convince me more than you're trying to convince yourself. I don't need you to convince myself of anything. I'm telling you this for your benefit, not mine. Anyway, that's enough for now, huh? I'm sure that gives you plenty to chew on. My obligation to give you this answer is satisfied, I think, so let's talk about something else. Girl, you live in a world where a dragon was president and this is where you draw the line. I mean, in a less fantastical way, we're kind of living that our reality of ourselves where people are like, I'm not the one at fault, it's the man keeping me down, when shit, actually it really was the man keeping us down. Suffice to say, what I'm trying to get at is that even though the dragons may be real, we still do have a bad habit of equipping ourselves with baggage to get by, you know? Can you tell me of anything else that at all that might help? I don't know, maybe? I'll put some thought into it. Maybe I do have an idea. Are you open to taking on more work? Of course. Kindly sending me new job offers all the time. This wouldn't be work for Auntie Cheng. Think of it as a side gig for me. I think I got a line on some software that could help us. Can't get to it on my own, though. It's a two-person job. What kind of software? Hard to explain. It'd be easier for me to just show you. But trust me, it'll help. I have the run all planned out already. I've done the legwork, I know location, and the target. Just say the word and I'll send everything I have to your mission computer. You can look it over, weigh it, and decide what you want to do. Deal. Send the file. And done. You'll find the pertinent documents waiting at the inbox. If you decide to accept, just check the box in the message documentation and it'll ping my comm link. Alright, can't wait to figure out what this is and actually get in some gameplay. I'm sure that the briefing I send you will satisfy your curiosity. Trust me, Combo, this is a good job with a solid plan behind it. You'll see as soon as you read it. And speaking of which, you should go do that now. I should probably clear out dialogue with Gaichu and Ractor, shouldn't I? Welcome back, my friend. What can I do for you? I got a few more questions for you, if you don't mind. Go ahead. Oh, wait. I guess not. What can you tell me about the colleagues you, that stole your work? Today they call themselves Taylor and Hardingham. Those aren't their real names, obviously. They shed their former identities when they left their old lives behind. What were they called when you worked with them back in Gishin Avacor? It doesn't matter. Those men are as dead to me as they are to the world. My old colleagues no longer exist. Taylor and Hardingham are all that remains. They are simply targets. Nothing more. Oh, how marvelous it'll be to find them. What a reunion we'll have. I thought we already completed his personal mission. It's a little weird that we're getting the dialogue now, but, you know, that's my fault. Isabel's opinion on spiritual things colored by the fact that she lived in Hong Kong, or we recently had a mission to absolutely fuck up a man's day by dicking over feng shui. The stolen research means more to you than money, doesn't it? Yes, much more. It's my life's work, and it was important. Reducing it to a bargaining chip was a deadly insult, both to me and all those who benefited from my work. I don't think I've ever seen you get this intense about anything. The corner of his mouth tilts upward. I suppose that's probably true. This is a matter that's near to my heart. Indeed, it lies to the guiding philosophy of my life. Tell me, are you familiar with the concept of transhumanism, the transformation of humanity as a species through technological means? Sure, if I'm not mistaken, we're already living in a transhumanist present. Yes, that's right. Transhumanism is no longer a philosophy. It is fact. Look around you. Cybernetics are an important part of functioning life. Further, I'd argue that the synthesis of man and machine is the crowning achievement of meta-humanity as a people. Yeah, I'll go with you on that. In such a future, the capability for unlimited self-repair would be indistinguishable from immortality. You can see then why the theft of my research came as such a blow. My former colleagues hadn't just stolen from me. They've taken my contribution to the future of our species and reduced it to a bargaining chip. Yeah, I'd be pretty upset too, not gonna lie. I was more than just upset, my friend. I was livid. I still am. But all will be made right in the fullness of time. I am nothing if I'm not a patient man. I can wait. And with that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to bid you good night. I've taken enough of a break from one evening. There is still work to be done. And it would be lax of me to put it aside any longer. Thanks, Fractor. It was interesting. Good night. The air in Ractor's shop is ripe with the stench of old metalworking fluids. He turns to face you, a burning cigarette clenched between his teeth. Sorry about the smell. It's long past time to purge the coolant sump. If I had access to the proper equipment, this would be not a problem. I could clean the fluid and reuse it. But alas, halogen treatment chambers are rather hard to come by, even at a place like Aoi. Anyways, my friend, you didn't come here to discuss the ins and outs of shop maintenance, I'm sure. What brings you here? I've been thinking about what we talked about last time. Mind if I ask you a few questions? Be my guest. I have no secrets to keep. I do like Ractor. He's a fascinating creature. This is gonna sound like an insult, but please bear with me. I want this to be more of like, a dissection of current events vis-a-vis with this video game. But I feel like Ractor is what tech bros imagine themselves to be. But without, like, realizing the consequences of their ways. Like, the big thing about Ractor is that, he does reflect on what he does, and his idea of what, what is appropriate for humans, for, like, behavior to do is different from ours. And he is okay with it. But the thing is, Ractor is thinking about his actions. He has a philosophy, he has a mindset. He believes that all of his actions are to further humanity as a whole. I don't think tech bros think that way. I think they have the same mindset of like, yeah, we want to further humanity, but they see it as like, aesthetic more than anything.
It's more like they delude themselves into thinking it's for betterment.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
It's actually really selfish. They just want to like be the next Tesla, the next Edison, the next Albert Einstein. They have to name like a legacy.
Yeah, it's really what it is all about. It's like what they're looking for is not functional immortality, but rather like a historical immortality. They want to be remembered and not just be another page in the books. But Humanities is a pretty big fucking book at this point, and I don't. It all depends on like the legacy you want to leave, and I'm fine with leaving a legacy that I've entertained a handful of people over the course of shit.
Also, there's also the fact
A
that
decade?
it's just the way things are going. We're kind of like it's kind of stagnating. There's not any meaningful progress being made.
That's an interesting thing because there are some meaningful progresses being made in the medical field, but technology, yeah, we've kind of hit a slump, as it were.
It's just slump mostly because people keep trying to because like they're trying to find the next big thing and then
Just
keep reiterating
reinventing
on
the
something
wheel, yeah.
instead of like figuring out like, okay, they're doing that. What if I did this? That figure something else out. But no, it's like, no, this is the big thing now. This is the trend. So everybody got to follow the trend because everybody's too like keeps following trends so much. And they want to be like the one that gets big with the current trend, but they don't figure out like maybe you could try something else, do their own thing.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that the tech sector has been having this issue, but then you have, like, the health sector doing radical things like, hey, what if we program a macrophage that detects a very specific, like, data code in cancerous cells and eats those only? And that's really fascinating. That takes a kind of passion and fervor that you don't really see from people in the tech industry. But I think that kind of like passion and ingenuity is formed from experience, honestly. I was gonna say trauma, but that feels a little too reductive, you know? But like,
Yeah,
something he would have happened in that person's life to motivate themselves to pursue such a goal. And it's like a genuine motivation. What's the word I'm looking for here?
because the thing is like, I feel like a lot of people leading the tech sector they just don't really have a lot of imagination.
Yeah,
Whereas the medical field, it's just there's still a lot of fucking things you don't know about the human body, and also the fact that it's just so like the biology fucking changes so fucking often. Maybe it's kind of hard to be like, oh, things that we know that we wrote like that. It's like that's in like high school textbooks. Like it just made and suddenly now, oh, actually, guess what? We found something else that slightly alters what we knew about this. And we're like, damn.
dude, learning about fucking dementia and how the brain operates was like kind of a fascinating thing and also genuinely terrifying. It's kind of one of the things that made me like lean in more on a more balanced diet, you know, focusing more on like fishes and like fuller grains rather than just, you know, meat and taters. Learn about your kidneys. Ugh. Pretty sure I tortured those poor things. Yeah, because kidneys filter our blood, right? Is that what I'm trying to remember here? And if you can't do
More or
that,
less.
well, boy howdy.
It's the dialysis.
Yeah,
Dialysis.
dialysis. I was conflating that with the liver was the issue. Isn't it the liver, not the kidneys? I'm gonna look that up real quick. Kidney functions. Let's see if Google's right. Oh right, I'm not using Google anymore. Kidneys help remove waste and excess fluid from your body. Help remove waste and excess fluid, filter the blood, yeah. Helps make red blood cells, yep. Balances vitamin and minerals, keeps your blood pressure, keeps your bones healthy. So it has a process in it, but it's not like the sole thing. Conversely, let's see what liver says. It's wild having studied this for 6 years and being able to find it just at the fucking tap of your fingers. Two distinct cells. Function of the liver produces bile. Produces certain proteins for blood plasma, production of cholesterol, conversion of excess glucose into glycogen for storage. Huh. Regulation of blood levels of amino acid, process of hemoglobin for use of iron content, conversion of poisonous ammonia to urea, so alcohol filtration, cleaning the blood of drugs and other poisonous substance, regulating blood clotting, resisting infections for immune faction, clearance of bilirubin from red blood cells. Oh, the thing that turns your skin yellow. Interesting. So they're both functionally filters, it's just a matter of what they filter. Fatty liver disease is a thing too, yeah. If you lose your kidneys, you have to get your blood filters 8 hours a day, every other day. Just reminds me of that scene from fucking Venture Brothers where Dr. Venture has to have Helper hooked up to him so he gets the blood filtration going.
Then he drinks alcohol and Helper starts going crazy.
Yeah. Also, the end of the arc, and I got myself a brand new pair of kidneys. I feel freaking fantastic. Anyway, we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, didn't we? But
in hindsight, this is before the revelation, but after the revelation of the Venture Brothers, it just feels like it's just kind of like, bro, you could have done this all along.
I don't know what you're talking about. We'll have to discuss that later.
Yeah.
About the drone's self-repair system. How did it work? There were 3 distinct elements to my approach. When these elements were all working in concert, prototypes that utilized the process displayed remarkable self-repair capabilities. This may be a lengthy explanation. I can skim over it if you please, or I can break it down for you if you're genuinely interested. Let's torture chat. Now I'm gonna go for the basics. Yeah, I'll give you the short version. The first element of the process is self-healing biomimetic skin. It's capable of self-repairing any superficial wound that a drone might suffer, injuries that hadn't damaged the machine's underlying structure. The second is an internal structure built from self-assembling materials and utilizing redundant systems. Any damage that the skin could not heal could be repaired or replaced. The third and final element was a magical component that served to stave off entropy and render the first 2 systems self-perpetuating. You could think of magic as the lubrication that kept the gears turning. An unfortunate but necessary concession. And that was the technology recovered on the Ares run, huh? It's funny you say drink water because that's what I've been doing beforehand when I got the drinks. You may have heard a can open as well. I'm drinking that too. Another thing about Tech Bros, this is Raptor here. Tech Bros are CEOs. True. To a point. There are still the people that work and do the stuff. But that's a different area to look at. Yes, that's right. My thanks to you again. I am in your eternal debt. What do you think a post-human future would mean? Freedom. He takes a long drag of his cigarette, sucking the smoke deep into his lungs. When he speaks, it erupts from his mouth like in a plume. The ultimate freedom to direct our own progress, and to steer ourselves as a people in whatever direction we wish. Consider, my friend, every aspect of Kostche was tailor-made for a purpose, dreamed up, designed, and built by a single guiding intellect. Alright, keep going. Now think of the circumstances surrounding your own birth, and the building blocks that shaped you into the woman you are today. Your mother and father exchanged fluids, sloppily, no doubt, and with all the mindless abandon that such biological imperatives entail. I don't want to even think about that one. It's just an example, my friend, just an example. Substitute in my parents instead, or any other parents you choose to imagine if it makes you more comfortable. The important thing is that the forces that shaped you and me, and the others upstairs, and anyone else you care to mention, were ultimately mindless ones. Blind, manipulative biological devices that lead a sperm and an egg to collide. And in a roll of a dice and a dash of Mendelian genetics, here you are. The natural process of evolution and sexual selection guides the development of our species through trial and error. Throw a few billion darts at the wall and see what sticks. In the future that I foresee, this process will be reined in, guided by our own controlling intellects. To opt an antiquated phrase, the myth of intelligent design will become a reality, but we'll be our own gods, reshaping ourselves as we see fit. Biological evolution is full of choices, though, Ractor. We choose who we mate with. That choice helps determine the traits that our offspring will inherit. Very true. But the pool of possible traits that biological reproduction can select for is small. If I wanted to produce offspring with gill slits instead of lungs, I'd be out of luck. In a post-human future, I would face no such limitations, nor would anyone. We would no longer be slaves to the selective process that has dictated our development since time immemorial. We truly would be masters of our own fate. Let's say that you're right. At what point do we cease being human and become something else instead? Whenever we choose to define ourselves in that way. Humanity is an intrinsically human concept. If we decide to rebrand ourselves as a different species, that is our decision to make. I strongly suspect that no one else would even care. So, what do you want? What's the endgame that you envision for us in this grand post-human future? Yeah, this isn't eugenics because he's not talking about eliminating other people that he deems undesirable. He wants to lift humanity up as a whole, not, you know, only lift the 1% up. Cool, thanks. Only slightly paying attention as I work on my PhD, which is about hemodialysis outcome. Interesting. It's actually kind of really topical to what we were talking about a while ago. That's really funny. Koscheei raises itself up on its legs, stretching so that Ractor can caress its chassis. The motion is alarmingly fluid, almost like a living thing than a machine. Why do you think I brought up kidneys? Ah, so you're... Okay, that's fair. You have played such unnecessary limitations on ourselves, my friend. It fills my heart with sorrow to know that what we could be but are not. I would see those limits stripped away, peeled back and discarded for the betterment of all. In the future that I foresee, we will open our eyes to the possibilities that surround us. Bodies reshaped to thrive in the deep ocean and the depths of space. Bodies inspired by nature, or the human imagination, or both. Bodies that could be used and shed and used again, inhabited as their wearers see fit. This is actually really interesting because, in a way, it kind of links back over to Pathologic 3 in the idea of like a utopian society. What would that look like? But also, in a way, this links back to I always forget the cyberpunk novel that Netflix picked up and made a series of that involves like people being downloaded onto a disc and slotted into sleeves. That's not Blazing Chrome, is it? No, I think that's a video game.
Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon, that's it, thank you. Yeah, like the bodies that are used, shed, and used again, that reminds me a lot of Altered Carbon. A timely realization of such a future is what drives me forward. It is the cause to which I have devoted my life. And thankfully, it is inevitable. Assuming, of course, we don't destroy ourselves first. There is a hard limit to the fusion of man and machine. Doesn't your vision of the future require us to get past that? Yeah, speaking of the essence limit and the problems associated with essence loss. Yes, that would be a problem. But as with all problems, a workaround will present itself. Of this I am certain. Are you basing that on anything, or are you just taking it on faith? No, my friend, I am not taking it on faith. My beliefs are rooted in my own observations and experiences. But for the time being, we will leave the matter at that. Altered Carbon is an inspiration for the tabletop game Eclipse Phase, where humanity has no problem swapping bodies as easily as you swap shirts. The question is, do they actually have no problem? Because I kind of liked Altered Carbon as an exploration of that. Especially these days when body dysphoria is such a very relevant topic to a lot of people. Even something as simple as, you know, tanning your skin, dyeing your hair, or, you know... what other example I could use? I can't really think of one, but, like, anything you do to improve your body is, in a way, kind of like you being not okay with your own body. And, in a way, the idea of, like, taking your brain and jacking it into, like, some dude on the street would really fuck with you. Trust me, there are lots of problems. Eclipse Phase is... Ah, okay. That wasn't a criticism. I was actually genuinely curious if there... What was that about? So in this post-human future that you're trying to bring about, what role would Kostje play? A similar one to the role that he plays now, I imagine. He was designed for a purpose, after all. That said, I could see the techniques that went into his design and fabrication and having much more broader-ranging applications. You're pretty attached to that drone of yours, aren't you? You even assigned it a gender, calling it him. You want to be identified as an attack helicopter, but in Raptor's future that would be legit. I mean, yeah. That kind of does lean into, like, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where the whole brain case thing really does lean into that. Where, people's brains get put into, like, you know, manufactured bodies for security and the like. Or the fucking moo raptor cows are even literally attack helicopters. Still surprises me how many communities I'm in are very much trans celebrating, which is cool, but I know they're a minority being screwed over by the revenistic assholes currently. Yeah, it is unfortunate that people need a patsy to... I don't think patsy is a good word, but, like, they need a target to bag on, if only as a distraction to cover from the guilt of what they're doing. Scapegoat, thank you. Yes, of course. Kostje is very close to me. As if on cue, the drone scuttles forward, the hardened tips of its claws screeching across the metal floor of the shop. It comes up just short in front of you, a strange mechanical chitter rising from deep within its chassis. I will say this, there's never a set point to achieve scapegoat status. There will, like, anytime somebody needs someone to blame, people will find someone. And that's honestly one of the biggest, like, downsides of our society. Like, as mentioned before, like... people make up baggage in order to help them get through the day. A scapegoat is one of them. They're visible enough to draw heat. Yeah. You might accuse me of anthropomorphizing my little companion, assigning human characteristics to him when in fact there are none. Truth be told, there is much more to Koschei than meets the eye, but that is a different conversation for another time. Huh, why not talk about it now? Because I have work to do. And I'm sure that you can find better uses for your time than listening to me prattle on. And with that, I'm afraid I must ask you to show yourself out. We could continue this another time. Two hours of talking with the team. I really bungled this. But we're getting into a lot of interesting topics as a result, honestly. Just so damn unfair. That is the unfortunate reality of things, but people are still more than willing to try and make it fair. Like, just recently, the No Kings movement had made a staggering movement of protests. Like I think at least one in every state, maybe even more. Like, when things are bad, people are willing to step up and fucking roar and scream and gnash. And we're gonna, and even if things seem dark, we're slowly making progress towards that. Unfortunately, that means those of us in positions like this have to just kind of do what we can, and unfortunately grit our teeth and bear the rest. Like, after what happened recently, I'm optimistic that we're going to be moving in a proper direction. Hell, tech bros are eating the biggest shit of their life, and it's fucking great. So I think comeuppance is eventually going to come, but as always, it's never soon enough. But people are willing to, like, you know, stand up and scream. On the topic of the game, instead of being depressed by current affairs, have you noticed that Ractor is distressingly low essence score for someone with very little cyberware? Can something other than cybernetics affect essence? Or is his cyberware so top of the line that it has basically chunked his soul? The cabin of Gaichu is in a far better state than it was previously. The heat has been adjusted down and the ventilation restored. The boxes of junks and parts have been stacked and neatly arranged, and Gaichu's small amount of personal gear is tucked away in a corner. By his own admission, he doesn't process emotions like a person. Yeah, I'm just wondering if that is a result of the low essence, or is that him justifying his low essence? There is a small mat at the center of the cabin that looks like it doubles as a rug and a sleeping pad. Gaichi is seated in the lotus position, eyes closed. His fingertips rest on a braille reader that is plugged into his PDA. The device fills the room with a soft clicking from the pin combinations. As you approach, he lifts his hand from his reader surface. Ah, hello again, Combo. Is there something I can assist you with? You know, I never thought about that, actually. Do we have digital braille readers now? Like, I can't imagine it'd be a hard technology, just, you know, dots constantly poking at the person's fingertips, but do we actually have that? Looks like you've carved yourself a nice little spot here. If you say so. I doubt it would be suitable for the others, but I do not require much in the ways of space, and I have little possessions. So long as I have a quiet area in which I could sit and relax, I am happy. Is explaining the conversation with him, unlike the setting of Cyberpunk, where cyberpsychosis happens to dysphoria, lack of mental health, and nerve impingement. Essence is the condition of one's soul. Oh, I'm aware of that. I'm just wondering how that relates with Ractor, but I have a feeling you're going to elaborate on that in a minute. If you mean a surf that changes with dots, yes. Because, like, that's all Braille really is just a bunch of dots, so I imagine that a surface that changes the configuration of dots would be something that should be within our capability of making, isn't it? Now, what do you wish to discuss? What were you reading? Gaichu draws himself up, folding his palms in his lap. With one toe, he pushes the braille reader away. It's called Hagakure, Hidden Leaves, written by Yamamoto Sunetomo, as a treatise on what it means to be a samurai, and how one should best serve one's lord. Required reading for the Red Samurai, unsurprisingly. Looking for a hidden meaning? Pretty sure somebody adopted the dot matrix printer heads for that at some point, but that would be really heavy. Now I'm curious about that, but I don't know what I would look for in search engines. Let's see. Digital Braille reading. I misspelled Braille, didn't I? Braille displays for the blind. Refreshable Braille display. Looks like you are right. It is taking like dot matrix terminals and doing Braille stuff with it. Rotation wheel blades software. Braille scripts people. Well, the technology definitely exists. I'm just wondering how recent it is. Also, this shit's fucking expensive. Hello? $3,000. Ugh. Oh, it looks relatively new. These terminals actually look relatively thin. Though I do gotta admit, it feels a little, tropey to have your blind people, display being blind by having their eyes closed. Though it is neat that this is actually a thing. I'm glad that that's actually the case. It's around 20 years old. Yeah, it's just something I never really thought of, you know? Fun trivia, since 2005, Canadian banknotes had Braille embossments to denote the donut. Wow, that's smart. Actually, hang on a second. Where's my wallet? Do I still have a thing? Damn it, I don't have any bills. I wanted to see if we had something similar. I have it memorized, but sometimes I have found that reading the words reveals new meanings, yes. I may have left my old life behind, but old habits are the hardest to shake. The author has a central thesis. When there is a question of life and death, always choose death. Throw oneself into the fray with no resignations and act on instinct alone. My current state of affairs speaks the truth of this more robustly than any lesson in a dojo. What's the rest of the book about? Gaichu ticks off the points by unfurling successive fingers. It is partially a manual for proper behavior towards one's lord, partially a rumination of the mindset required to be victorious in combat, and partially a collection of stories. Sunetomo believed that to truly embody the virtues of a samurai, adherents should be mindful of their path of all times. Never stop training. Always question how one's actions reflect on their lord. Above all, be prepared to do your duty instinctively at any time, no matter what the cost. I kind of wish I had the academic trait here, but it also feels like you're being a dick that is, like, poking fun at Gaichu's philosophy. Also, this game doesn't have a history log. What was that book again? I want to send it to a buddy to talk about it. Like, did anybody catch what the book was? Fallen Leaves. Yeah, I'm gonna message a buddy about that for our little project. Sorry about that. This is just like a big brain flash idea that I was like, oh, this is actually a really fucking good idea. Hang on. That sounds like a dangerous path to walk. I am certain that it is, but what choice do I have? Without a cure for my condition, all that I am able to do is embrace the reality of what I have become. It does not seem like much of a choice at all to me. What would you say about your refusal to kill you? Nah, that feels like a dick thing to say. Well, both of these feel kind of rude, but I feel like the top one is more thoughtful. What does he say about masterless samurai such as yourself? 7 times down, 8 times up. Gaichu smiles thinly, wrapping a claw on the hilt of his sword. More specifically, if a samurai has not been a ronin at least 7 times, then he has not truly lived as a samurai. Those were different times, however. It was common for a samurai to fall out of favor with their lord and be turned loose to wander. For company men like myself, the choice is serve or die. Is there anything else you'd like to know? So it was actually the 7th samurai? I don't know what you mean by that, Shrike. We were talking about your father bailing you out of jail? Ah, yes, I do recall you asking me about that. Gaichu's reticence is palpable in the long silence. He does not continue. Is something the matter? No, No, everything is fine. I'll tell you what you want to know. I simply haven't spoken of my family in a long time. Bad memories? No, quite good ones, actually. I haven't seen Yasujiro in many years, but that is my fault. We may not have seen eye to eye when I was young, but we came to an understanding. Eventually. Yasujiro gave me an ultimatum after my run-in with Shiwase security. He told me if he had cut a backroom deal with a rival in Shiwase to keep me out of prison. The charges would be suspended if I finished high school and studied at Kyoto University with the intent of joining Renraku. If I did not, Shiwase would take me into custody and I would spend time in prison. What did that cost him? I have no idea. He had refused to reveal what he had been forced to do in exchange, but I cannot imagine it was cheap. Insider information, perhaps? A deliberately botched contract? Yasujiro was a manager in the water and power division, so the deal would have been lucrative, but not secret. I had always taken my family for granted. Raised in a Renraku family, going to Renraku schools, I always had a sense of place, of belonging where I was. The thought of all that vanishing, I simply couldn't imagine it. Suddenly, the reality of my actions became clear. From then on, I tried to be the son he wanted, and he seemed to be glad of that. We grew much closer over the next few years. He took time off to visit me when I was living in Kyoto. Why would that be unusual? He was a very busy man in those days. A lot of responsibility and very little time to himself. I was impressed he could carve off as much time as he did just to go camping with his son. A lot of nice wilderness in that part of Japan, I bet. Very much so. The land around Kyoto is protected from development due to historical and cultural significance. Most of the mountains are considered sacred, so the Diet considered it a national preserve. We made several trips to the area between Kyoto and Nara, around the village of Ide. We camped in the mountains above it. We would hunt wild deer and boar there, using my family's antique arquebus. Wait, hang on. I'm sorry, but I'm a little taken aback. In 2040s, we had a darling corporate nuclear family walking around hunting with, if I remember right, an arquebus and his old shotgun? We got fucked up by a stupid deer. Wouldn't something more modern have been better? Definitely, but the law still prohibits firearms owned by private individuals. The Tanegashima had been in my family's possession since the 18th century, and thus exempt from the law due to special classification. Oh, it's a longbow rifle. Arquebus to me thought like, the wide mouth shotgun. Perhaps, ironically, hunting with my father is how I learned to prepare raw meat. Strange to think that such activities served as training for my current state of affairs. The wide mouth shotgun is a blunderbuss. Ah, okay. So what's the process? How do you do it? Soak the meat in brine water, simmer at a low heat for several hours, let it cool, and repeat over several days. It cannot get too hot or I am unable to eat it. The process brings out the collagen in the meat. When it is done, I spice it with jinjo and sansho pepper. Again, not too much. Mundane food is anathema to me. Sighing happily, Gaichu stares off into the distance. When he looks back, he smiles broadly at you. Ah, those were the good old days. I'm sorry I cannot go back to those times. When one joins the Red Samurai, one must give up all attachments to one's previous life. The company, the code, and the unit become the entirety of your world. That's an incredible amount of focus. It is. That is why the selection process is so rigorous and so many fail. There is no shame in failing, simply because being allowed to participate in the test is a mark of excellence. Applicants must be human, Japanese, and utterly devoted to Renraku. Your unit becomes your family, your commander, your father and mother, your teammates, your siblings. Red Samurai are not allowed to reveal our identities and positions to anyone in this outside the Special Operations Group. Even if we wanted friends outside the unit, we could not have them. So how did you end up joining the Renraku military? Ah, fair question. Given my youthful indiscretions. Are you familiar with Kempei Tai? No. The Kempei Tai are the political arm of the Japanese military. Much like the commissaries of the Soviet Union, they are responsible for enforcing political and social orthodoxy. That is not just within the army, mind you. They also enforce certain laws with regards to general populace. When I was enrolled at Kyoto University, I studied global security and political science. It's the major generally used as a getaway to private security postings with both government and corporate militaries. Anyway, I wanted to fight. I was a young man and my blood was always up. One of the requirements was the students to join the Young Youth Brigade Kempei Tai. The Youth Brigade was a bit like the ROTC in North America. The Young Falcons in the... Oh god, I never know how to pronounce this. Is it the Sioux Nations? Or the District Office Program in the Republic of Korea. Members learn to be soldiers without actually joining an army. They perform community service and promote civil pride. Sioux, yes. Okay. Yeah, I was sitting there like, my brain said Sioux, but I could feel my mouth wanting to say something different. Performance and prestige in the Kempei Tai used to dictate later job opportunities. A bit like good internship. So here's a funny bit of irony here in regards to the ROTC. Despite being a military brat, I never actually was I was never encouraged to join the military. In fact, my dad, who was the military man of the family, actively dissuaded it. But I did hang out with the ROTC kids in high school because, it was a nice building and I could hang out there in the AC when the baleful sun was fucking us over. But the real funny part is back when I did, what was it? When I did substitute teaching back between 2013 to 2016, I want to say. I did a lot of teaching ROTC courses. And while it was really weird because while the kids knew I didn't have, the knowledge of the matter because of my studies, they did mention that I had a scowl that was very similar to, like, their teachers, which was funny and a little distressing to hear. So like they would, so like if I ever would show any form of like, frustration or dissatisfaction with what they're doing, they would immediately realize it and just like lock back into place, which was incredibly convenient at times. Though, man, like, there is a part of me that kind of wishes I could get into the education sector, but also the hard realization that it is a very unreliable is an unreliable job atmosphere that you have to be really passionate about, almost to like a personal degree, to even like endure those hardships, enduring the heartbreak of dealing with like students that just don't want to learn or just conflict with you without any like proper reason or anything. Teaching is incredibly rough, and I do respect teachers that stick with it. And part of me kind of had the hope that I wanted to stick with it, but ultimately I realized part of me is a bit too impatient and impetuous to be a teacher, unfortunately. Torture methods were taught at Kempeitai schools, including flogging, waterboarding, burning and scalding, electric shocks. It's funny because isn't torture in Japan a big no-no? Wow, this is a fucked up line to say. Did you enjoy it? Not at first. Later it became pleasant. I do not know that event, Selnar. Power is a heady thing, especially for a youth who has few superiors to answer to. We developed a sense of superiority over others and began to abuse our power. I believe that may have been part of the point. Surely they wanted you to use your power responsibly. Quite the opposite. They wanted to engender those feelings of superiority and to encourage the youth brigade to see themselves as above the common man. The state is above the individual, and as instruments of the state, we were taught that we were as well. Japan as a whole does not like to think about what the ancestors did to Nanking during WTO. Ah. Torture post-WTO is frowned upon, but in 1929, Japan refused to sign the first Geneva Convention. Yeah. I think I get the point now. We did as we were taught, such as the way of authority on the young. Did you regret getting involved with them? No. Why? It was a necessary step in my plans for my future, even if some of the behaviors that were involved were distasteful. The state of the nation was such that those kinds of behaviors were legal and condoned. Are you saying the ends justified the means? No. I'm just saying that it was very difficult for outsiders to judge a society's peculiarities objectively, unless they know what it's like to live in such a society. History can condemn or exonerate me, but all I know for certain is that I did what was required of me. When I was nearing graduation, I was approached by a recruiter with Renraku Security. She told me I came from a good family and could have a promising career with the company. She offered to fast-track my application towards a potential Red Samurai position. 3 years with the Renraku military as a junior officer, and guaranteed placement in a Red Samurai training billet of my choosing. The pay was good, and the excitement of being an elite was an attractive position. I accepted, but I did not truly understand what I was signing up for. As I told you before, they force you to give up everything except the company and the unit. That was made clear to me, but I did not truly understand it. So what happened? Exactly what you expect to happen. I signed the contract and became a soldier in Renraku's army. I was physically fit, top of my class, and it seemed inevitable that I would see my desires fulfilled. Obviously, I succeeded. That training was extremely difficult both mentally and physically. I knew that I would be isolated from my old life, but I did not anticipate the full extent of that isolation. All Red Samurai require reports to a facility called the Forge in Chiba. You are assigned a unit, you and 4 other recruits, and for the next 2 years, the Forge is your home and prison. Shaking his head wistfully, Gaichi snorts. It seems ridiculous in retrospect. We were all so young. None of us had any idea what we were doing except trying to become the best soldiers in the world. And yet those strangers became my new family in the absence of the old. Tell me about the members of your unit. That chapter of my life is over and done with and are no longer part of my world. Why would you care about any of that? They said they became your surrogate family. That's important. You make a wise point. Commanders should know their soldiers as well as they know themselves. Very well. Gaichi looks down at his hands, picking something out from beneath one claw. He continues to look at his hands while he speaks, which is interesting because he's blind. When I was younger, I would have more readily cut off my fingers than tell you what you'd ask. You must understand that secrecy is absolute among the Red Samurai. Your identity becomes secret, erased from any database that might connect you to the Red Samurai. You may only use your code name when you are in the field, and your given name is known only to your commanders and your unit. Every other Red Samurai unit has no idea who you really are. Contact from the outside world is cut off completely. Even once training is over, your communications are restricted. Maintaining relationships outside of your work is frowned upon. Why would they do that? It forces new recruits to bond more tightly than any other military unit. Every emotion a recruit has for their old friends and family is transferred to that unit. In a very real way, you are required to love your teammates. Ishida was our commander. He came from a rich family in Saitama, the kind of family he was given every advantage possible, with the expectation he would keep the family name prestigious. He was older than the rest of us, and he had already spent 6 years in the army. A very severe man, rarely given to humor. Takagawa was usually the second in command, as our designated marksman. He tended to have better tactical view of how operations should be run, simply because he needed to study the terrain more. He loved to get us laughing. Without him, I think I would have gone crazy the first few months. I will note that in both Shadowrun and Cyberpunk, as table sins due to being built up in the early 1800s, have a bad habit of looking at Japan and going, what if they go resurgent but by also reverting to 1940s? This can be seen in Battletech with the Draconis Combine, but the DC at least was founded by our redheaded Irish with the planet of New Kyoto, settled by actual Japanese. Wants nothing to do with the Drax. It's interesting because, like, now more than ever we're learning that if you want to design a universe that is tangentially close to the real world, you really should look into, there's always a term that people bring up but I always forget it, but basically a cultural consultant, I think this is the term I'm looking for anything. Like, one of the big things that I keep thinking about when I go back to the idea of wanting to make, like, a game similar to Wild Arms, a post-apocalyptic sci-fi Western anime-esque game, is that one of the cornerstones of Wild Arms is the Beskar, basically the game's, like, allegory to the Native Americans as stewards of the land. And I feel like if I'm gonna go that, I would have to get consultation from a couple of friends I know that are Native Americans, and that's a lot of legwork to do, like a lot of legwork to get it right. But I do think it's absolutely necessary to avoid, you know, cultural pastiches. But unfortunately, it is a very costly thing, and a lot of It feels like a lot of AAA games and scenario and companies seem to, forego that idea as an easy cost to cut. Some instances it works out well, like it's funny I'm going to this just because of realizing also how far they've fallen. One of the big things of Magic the Gathering that impressed a lot of its fan base is that they hired a cultural consultant for the Khans of Tarkir block, which is a set heavily inspired by East Asian cultures such as the Ottomans, the Mongols, China, Tibet. I'm just rattling off names. I'm not actually sure if I'm repeating any, but you get what I mean, right? Like, the big thing about Khans is that they wanted to do East Asia and not Japan, so they looked into all those cultures and figured out what made them, like, culturally significant. And then another one was, for the set Neo Kamigawa, which is the Cyberpunk Japan set. They made it a very important thing to stay only to very specific parts of Japan and not bring in other things that would be like things from the surrounding areas that would not come in. Specifically, I remember them saying no nunchucks because that was brought over from the mainland and they wanted to keep it staunchly Japanese, which, while narrow in a mindset, is actually kind of nice that they had the foresight to go, no pastiches, no tropes. We want to keep it relevant and accurate to the setting we're in. Tarkius Dragonstorm still has one of the most annoying artifacts. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Bonaparte. Mainly because I wasn't there actually for Tarkir. I'm basically espouting a video essay I heard when I was doing work. But, like, the long and short of it is that you really want... If you want to come off as, like, an earnest product and not, just some kind of, like... Just, a slurry churning out the same thing over and over, you really need a cultural consult. The artifact that has you... Whatever you discard, you can draw, deal 3 damage, or gain a... that wasn't Dragonstorm, that was, I have the card here, actually. Hang on, Bonaparte. I'm pretty sure that was Aether Drift, actually. Yeah, I bought a copy recently because I'm looking into a deck. Yeah, Monument to Endurance is what you're talking about? That's Aether Drift. It's specifically when you discard a card, you either draw, create a treasure, or each opponent loses 3 life. Was that Aether? Yes, I'm looking at the card right now. I quote-unquote paid $20 for it, but I traded in cards, so I effectively paid nothing. That card is kind of a problem in Standard. Another good example of a company using cultural consultants was Ubisoft from 2007 to 2010 for Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. But since then, they've been using the announcement of we use a diverse development team as a shield against criticism instead of doing due diligence. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Anyway, our mage's name was Sasaki. She had been in training as a Miko, an apprentice priestess, when her magic began to manifest. She was in the unit for the challenge and for the money. Her family had always been poor, and they always told her that she would never amount to anything. I think she joined the Red Samurai just to prove to them that she could be anything she wanted. My kind of attitude. Gaichu cocks his head, amused. I am unsurprised to hear it. You and Sasaki share a similar attitude. Neither of you stop to consider if your goals are attainable, you simply know they are. Our team's heavy gunner was Aomori. He kept the team honest with itself. He never had a disparaging word for anyone, but would not hesitate to call someone out for their behavior. Sasaki loved that about him. Really, she loved all of him. The two were discreet, but discretion only goes so far in such a small team. Still, we respected their privacy when possible. Is such a thing even allowed? If the unit commander allows it, yes. We were given incredibly wide leeway in what we allow or forbid in our unit. The belief of being that the results were the only thing that mattered. If the unit failed, it would fail as a whole. Sasaki and Aomori were crazy about each other, and it would have been done more harm to keep them apart. Lastly, there was me. I was the close quarters and breaching expert. The first man in the door when we had to clear a room. I was the perfectionist. Aomori could get us to do anything, but I was the one who made certain we did it well, with style. How do you mean? If a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing well. If that is also your duty, it is worth doing perfectly. Many times we would perform a drill or exercise well enough, but that was not good enough if I had to trust my life to it. That was why we became one of the best teams in the organization's history. Possibly the worst example of the last 3 years of Ubisoft showing their destruction physics in AC Shadows by having their version of Yasuke demolish the altar of a Shinto shrine, causing a very loud... Ooh, yeah. Didn't Yasuke also, like, follow Shinto Buddhism, or am I mistaken there? Because I know he followed, if I'm remembering right, he followed, no, I guess he wouldn't, because he followed, Nobunaga. And I remember he was very, outward about contesting with the established religions at the time. That's the thing to be proud of. Of course it is. Do you not think I know that? I apologize. It's just those feelings are still raw sometimes. Even if I were to be cured, I could never go back. They have been disgraced, and I have done unforgivable things. I have been cast out for good. What do you mean? Gaichi closes his eyes and sighs through his nose. When they ambushed me in Fukuoka, it was fight or die. I killed 2 of them before I escaped. I will not be returning to that unit, no matter what. It is not an easy memory to grapple with. That's fine. Take your time. Thank you. I'm sorry I cannot talk about it now, but I need to process this. These emotions are still raw. I am tired. Come back later and we can talk more. Also, a lot of nerds have long appropriated Japanese culture in really shitty ways. Yeah. Simple fact that there's very little verifiable about Yasuke beyond black man in Japan and served as a retainer for Nobunaga. It's true. That's why he's such a fascinating fascinating story to tell. And I kind of wish we saw... I kind of glad we got to see him in Nier and Nier 2. Nier? Neo. Yes! Yasuke and Nier. What the fuck? Are you able to progress, Gaichu? The cabin is silent aside from the occasional swish of air as Gaichu steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next. Yeah, that was a floib, a flub. Hello, combo. Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I fear I've been letting them slip as of late. Worried about getting rusty? No, that's not quite it. Rather, I wish to learn to bring my enhanced strength and speed to bear. In order to do so, I must ensure that my blindness does not hinder me. Perfection is a journey, not a destination. Gaichu lifts his sword, offering it edged first towards you. Do you see that edge? Forged by one of the finest swordsmiths in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge capable of cutting even the most hardened ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? When I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Oddly, after being blind, I cannot replicate this feat. Running the back of the claw along the blade's surface, Gaichu smiles thinly. I think soon I will be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses that I no longer have and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what would you like to discuss? Has it been difficult to learn to fight while blind? It is not the easiest thing I have attempted, but neither is it the hardest. Placing the sword off to one side, Gaichu turns to face you. Emptiness is form is one of the greatest lessons of the Hagakure. Trained sufficiently in both swordsmanship and obedience will come instinctively. That is the closest to perfection a man could attain. That was the book, wasn't it? The Hagakure? Does that mean in a perfect world you would have killed yourself when you got infected? If an order should be unjust or foolish, it should not be followed. To waste such a skillful warrior as they would have by killing me is unacceptable. Obedience without a thought is to be cultivated, but so is the moral fortitude to know when to disagree. When I was new to the unit, I thought that it had to be a good samurai was the ultimate goal. That to serve justly with dedication was the greatest honor a warrior could have. We were all young and foolish once, I suppose. So what changed your mind? Beyond my disease, there was a fight in Fukuoka. My former team ambushed me. It had a singular effect on my worldview. We were taught that we were superior to everyone. That since we were pure humans and Japanese, we would always win. I believe that most never questioned the validity of this claim, even when confronted with direct evidence to the contrary. Tell me about the old unit that ambushed you. Very well. My time in Fukuoka was intense. Since leaving Keihanshin, I had been careful to stay out of sight by moving on foot or in the back of automated delivery vans. I was running out of food, however, and needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka is just big enough to get lost in, but not so large that a ghoul sighting could go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and storm drainage systems, and for 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. The strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me, however, and I made a mistake. What happened? I had to get out of Japan, but all my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money, and I could feel the team catching up with me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto owed me a favor and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours. Gaichu closes his eyes, resting his face in one palm. If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident. But I let caution slip when I got his email. I thought if I disguised myself, I could take the train there, get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me. Magical tracking, perhaps? Or a well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me and were waiting for me at Hakata Station. It was an ambush. That sounds dangerous. Dangerous doesn't even express half of it. It was during rush hour. The situation was packed with civilians, but my teammates did not care. For a Red Samurai, success was the only criterion that matters. If I was dead, it would not matter what had come to pass. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best I could, rely on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack when I was in public, but I just did not realize how expendable civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I hadn't realized how much I underestimated them. I had assumed that a train had derailed, honestly, but then I smelt the telltale acrid vapor of the explosives. Once you smell it, you never forget. The plastic explosive we use has a particularly sharp odor, like old cheese. Something to do with an olfactory tagant added to help track it if it is stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and debris trying to find my way to the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike at once. I could hear Ishida and Takagawa behind me. Aomori and Sasaki charged out of an access corridor just ahead of where I'd been standing. Sasaki threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off retreat where Aomori started firing. Sounds like you didn't have much choice but to defend yourself. Yes, that is so. Training took over. I knew how to survive, and I was not thinking of anything but. So I charged Sasaki and Aomori. They were only 15 meters away from me. The only advantage I had is that they were as blinded by the dust as I was, but I could still hear and smell them. Sasaki threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Aogami's LMG went swiveling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down the barrel. I caught Aomori in the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I'd practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and he fell as I rolled to the side. I could feel him choking for breath as he dropped. It's strange to think how clear that memory is even now. He was your friend. That kind of thing sticks with you. Gauchi snorts, waving a hand dismissively. Spare me the two Nuyen psychiatry. Obviously what you say is true, but the memory sticks with me so strongly for another reason. It was in that strike that I realized who I truly was. My whole time with the Red Samurai, I had focused on ensuring that I was worthy of the team. Everyone felt that way, but I felt it more acutely than most. I had always wanted to be the best, the fastest, the most precise. In the Red Samurai, I felt that to be less than perfect would be to let the team down. We were always told how lucky we were to have been accepted into the unit. The moment my sword struck Aomori, I knew that I would survive the fight. They attacked me as they would an animal. They seemed to be counting on herding me into Takagawa and Ishida. Aomori didn't even think to get out of the way of my sword strike. I recall his eyes going wide. He looked surprised that I was using a weapon and not my claws. They underestimated you. Gaichi nodded sharply. They thought they were fighting a beast. I would never have underestimated them as they did me. All the lessons I taught about close combat thrown out the window as soon as their preconceptions entered the battlefield. Disgraceful. As I killed Aomori, I realized that I was not that I was unworthy of the Red Samurai, but they were unworthy of me. What did it mean that I, an infected monster that was less than a beast, could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world? Red Samurai doctrine taught Aomori and the others to not fear me, and this overconfidence would be their death. I realized I had progressed beyond the ability to understand. My sword had been as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to the ideological blindness. That's the danger of letting ideology overrule facts. Precisely. All those years I was worried that I was not good enough to be a member of the Red Samurai, that somehow they had been pulling my weight, but I had been blind to all the ways in which we were not training, or had avoided all the harsh truths about our own abilities. We were so often told of our excellence that I wondered if we had ever truly been tested. Oh wow, what's going on with my eyes? Where are my glasses? Sasaki was next to fall. As I turned away from Aomori, I realized she must have seen me strike him. Her eyes were wide, and I could feel her fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Aomori and attacking me. Tier 1 Gaslight Corporation. Yeah, I mean, effectively, that's what corporation talk is, but also Red Samurai had the double down of having also just, you know, blind Japanese nationalism behind them as well. It's very telling because it's also reminiscent of Japan during World War II, bringing up a topic from a while ago. Is that, where did I get this from? I think I got this from the video talking about why JRPGs like to kill gods. But suffice to say, like, back during World War II, Japan had a very fervent thought of they could do no wrong whatsoever. They were acting in will, defined by God. It was the ultimate gaslighting. And then and then we all know what happened afterwards. So this is a very interesting parallel in a way. For trivia, Renroku is officially a computer component sales corporation with their own military, but that's not all too surprising. Like the economic hypercorporation with a military is like a story as old as time. Everyone's favorite being the good old Shinra Electric Company. I love those guys. They're fucking dicks. Where do I sign up to be a NVIDIA ninja? Probably not. They're probably gonna lose a lot of money really soon. Guy who taps himself on the forehead just above his right eye.
Yeah, so you can work for AMD and just become they become paramilitary, so you can be known as the strike team, force called the AMD Demons.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
No, it's because they have their secret strike force, the AM Demons. The AM Demons.
Oh, I see. That's pretty bad. Gaichu taps himself on the forehead just above his right eye. It was there on Sasaki. A downward stroke from Jodan's stance. She had hesitated just as Aomori had. I felt the breath go out of her, like someone deflated a tire. She just slid down in a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how when I ran. That's kind of wild that he just did a straight overhead slash on her temple, and she still had the capacity to talk. Well, it doesn't sound like she had the capacity to. It sounds like she was trying to, though. What about Ishida and Takagawa? My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away and I did not see Ishida. I only smelt him, so I ran. The trains had been shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of Hakata Station, I knew I could escape. They did not follow me out of the city proper. From what I heard via the Matrix, the event was reported as a terrorist attack and was thwarted by our brave Renraku soldiers. Brave, foolish soldiers. If you killed 2 of them, why are they still hunting you? I am unsure that way that would make a difference. Can you explain to me what they are driving at? The unit's down 3 members. Why not give up on you? Ah, I see. I think you're mistaken in seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical. Folding his arms over his chest, Gaichu continues to explain. The true nature of the Red Samurai assignments is such that losses are generally 0, or the entire team. In those rare cases when Red Samurai teams suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together and undergo retraining. Sasaki and Aomori will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot. Simply put, I am not dead. Ordinarily, a missing Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams, but Renraku knows precisely what happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. Others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad, as it has been tainted. It's a strange way to organize a military unit. Gaichu inclines his head, expression impassive. I can see how it would seem that way from the outside. Part of what makes the Red Samurai fearsome is that they do not believe they could lose. Establishing a strong esprit de corps through this kind of unusual organization is part of the mystique. They have hunted me in Japan, Shanghai, and Beijing, and now I am certain they hunt me here in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue endlessly for the foreseeable future. Such is the way of things. You sound as trapped in the past as they are. They are so House Kurita coded. House Kurita? Oh, this is Battletech, isn't it? What do you mean by that? They have been hunting me. I'm simply trying to make a new life for myself. I fail to see how this is my doing. You're simply letting them come after you. Take the fight to them. Remember how people warned you in Dragonfall not to fuck with Seder Krupp because they're all owned by a dragon? Mitsuhama Computer Technologies, a Yakuza money laundering front that went horribly right, to the point that half the Yakuza in Japan went straight because the company made more money than crime did, decided to twist the Dragon's trail by becoming the world's biggest corporation by 2059. Huh. House Kurita from Battletech. Yeah, I had a feeling because, like, House X, I'm rapidly learning is a very Battletech coded thing. What do you suggest? Gaichu pulls back as if you slapped him. What do you suggest? That I hunt them down while they sleep and murder them in cold blood? You define yourself by your opposition of your old life. What? I'm unsure I clearly understand what you're meaning. Could you explain yourself? Think about it. You get to live as the Ronin Red Samurai, unfairly cast out by his unit. Ah, do you believe that absent that opposition I would have little to define myself? That is a very cheap philosophy combo, unworthy of you. Prove me wrong. Who are you outside of your unit? Dawning upon himself and pulling him out, puffing out his chest, drawing himself up and puffing out his chest, Gaichu glares at you. You tell me, what do you see? I am the creature that stands in front of you. What is it that I am, in your opinion? A free man who chooses to live as he pleases. Yes, that is what I am. So why is it that you do not accept that this is what I am doing? I seek to perfect myself, my skills, and my abilities in combat. Perhaps this is not the path I would have walked when I was younger, but I have been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to any other trade. This does not mean I am tied inextricably to my unit. It simply means I am shaped by my history, as we all are. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you I am doing alright. I must learn to adapt to my new condition and lifestyle on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong. So what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong? I am unsure. You have given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city, flee Hong Kong, travel to somewhere further afield. Lagos, perhaps, or maybe Montreal. It would have to be some place where Renraku's influence is minimal and where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. That has been my plan of action from the past. I could also keep a low profile, staying here, hope that they are unable to find precisely where I am hiding. Undoubtedly, Ishida would command the team to keep looking. I believe it would only be a matter of time before they found me. But if it were a sufficiently long time, they may be recalled. I could also confront them, draw them out into the open at a time and place of my choosing. They are nothing if not predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operational doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk. And I am unsure how I would draw them out in the first place. There's nothing wrong with hiding out. I am unsure if that is the wisest course of action. I'm going to need to think about this a great deal. Please let me think on this. I will have an answer later. This just reminded me of the story where a mob used a pizza place as a cover that somehow made more business than the mob and went legit. Honestly, because it's a shockingly common story in both media and reality that a front becomes so profitable that it's no longer fronting for anything. In the darkness of the cabin, Gaichu is hunched over a pile of keepsakes. He has unpacked most of his box and his contents are lying strewn about in a disorganized mess. The ghoul gingerly picks through them, turning each one over in his fingers as he feels their shapes. He addresses you without looking up. Assuming you properly exhaust the dialogue of the squad mates that still have undone quests, you should be able to flag them after you do Isabel's. That's what I'm hoping. But also, we might not be doing Isabel's quest. I mean, today, that is. Because I realize I've been talking for 3 hours. Please mind your step, Combo. I fear I've made a mess, and many of my possessions are quite delicate. I would be rather upset if you were to accidentally crush any under your feet. After a moment, he places the one he holds, a small ceramic statuette of a Daruma, to one side. Lifting his face, he touches his brow in salute. I apologize for the mess. Feeling homesick? I feel like if I were still doing Let's Plays and this was like the situation that it had led to, the thumbnail for my video would be a adjusted image of the famous Social Link Go comic frame from High End Daisy. Gaiju gingerly begins collecting his things and arranging them back in the box. No, I am remembering my home, and obviously I would like to return to it. Long ago, however, I came to terms with the impossibility of that desire. Today I'm simply thinking about the chain of events that brought me to Hong Kong. I hate that the comic never got finished. I think it was a situation of it got so popular that the pressure may have gotten to the artist. But also, it's a lot of comic to do. I've been considering our talk about my former unit. About what my plans are with regards to their incessant hunt and need for closure. I began to think that I too need closure. At end not only to be hunt, but to our dance around the core issue. One of us must die that the other may live. As it is, we are all locked in stasis. Off to bed, have fun. Later, Bonaparte. Are we talking about Fastake? Yes, we are talking about the Fastake comic. How do you plan to accomplish that? That is the question I have bent my mind to answering since we last spoke, 5 minutes ago. Due to a long hiatus, neither playing the game itself or continuing the comic, the artists decided that due to the hiatus, they did not think they could do the comic justice. I could see that, honestly. It's kind of like it's kind of similar to why Half-Life 3 hasn't come for so long, is that after a point you feel like you kind of miss the thread. My initial thought was to strike at a secure Renraku holding, something valuable enough to draw the attention of the Red Samurai, and ensure that Renraku reported that a ghoul was involved in the mission. It turns out that that was unnecessary. I began searching the Shadowrun BBS for any jobs against Renraku holdings here in Hong Kong. It is surprisingly easy to use the Matrix when you can read postings with your fingers. Slower than direct interface, but certainly possible. I also began to offer rewards for information on Red Samurai teams known to be within the city. A modest reward, nothing that would attract too much attention, but enough to keep people interested. This had borne fruit. A Red Samurai team has appeared here a short time ago, smaller in normal size. Sounds like it could be them. It is definitely them. My contact described Ishida and Takagawa perfectly, as well as a new heavy gunner, most likely from another disgraced squad. What's more, he's described a woman who looked exactly like Sasaki, but with a scar on her forehead. Precisely where I cut her. Oh, he didn't actually kill Sasaki. He just put a glancing blow on her. I expect you want to catch him off guard? Gaichu nods firmly. Surprise is the husband of victory. This is an essential law of combat. There is no such thing as a fair fight. Only ones you win or lose. I have no intention of allowing them to set the terms of the fight. I have found a job. I have found a job I am certain will draw a Red Samurai response. Renraku is moving a prototype drone through Hong Kong on the way to a research facility in Chiba. It is of a new design implementing machine learning and pseudo-intelligence. Something that advance would certainly attract a Red Samurai team should someone attempt to steal it. What if another team responds? It's kind of shocking how durable the bone plate that makes up the forehead is. It is the thickest bone of the area that makes up your skull. I believe, if I remember that. Specifically the cranial plate. Like your forehead is the thickest part of your skull in terms of like the upper part. I think the jaws and the spine on the back are, for the lower part are stronger or thicker. But like for that area, it is just thick enough to be light, but still protect your forehead from like impacts the best they can. That would be impossible. Red Samurai are stationed at research facilities, black laboratories, and other high-security areas. Renraku has no such facilities in Hong Kong at the moment, as most of their holdings of that type are in Taiwan. My former unit will be the only one close enough to respond to the threat. The Johnson of this run is a Renraku scientist escorting the drone. I was wondering about something here just because we're seeing it a lot more often. What's a Johnson in regards to, Shadowrun? I'm assuming it means the client, but like, where did the term Johnson come from? Also, shut up, Shrike. Yes, quote that there. Hi, I want to ask you, what's a Johnson? Johnson is the fixer, the go-between. Oh yeah, fucking they actually mentioned that last time we played the game, didn't they? I think I'm mainly wondering where the etymology of Johnson comes from. He wishes to leave Renraku's employ, but is unwilling to risk reprisal should he escape on his own. To put it simply, he wishes to make it look like he was killed during a robbery, hence why he wishes the experimental drone stolen. If there is no body, there will be no investigation to his whereabouts. Ah, killing two birds with one stone. Precisely. I can rid myself of my pursuers, and he could be free of their yoke. While I owe this man no loyalty, I think I understand his sentiment. Besides, we'll be receiving payment for a job. Sounds good to me. When do we leave? Well, John is an anonymous client for a prostitute. Oh. Oh yeah, that would work, wouldn't it? As soon as you are ready, I will message Mr. Johnson and let him know that we are prepared to fake his murder and be ready for arrival. I suggest you prepare as well. The Red Samurai are excellent combatants, not to be taken lightly. We should bring that girl Gobbet. Her rats will be very useful. Wow, that was 3 hours of us getting our fucking social links up. Okay, Shrek, now I know you're fucking with me. Oh, also, we got some karma and should probably level up, shouldn't we? Are we sure we exhausted everyone's dialogue? I know we did Gobbet's. I'm pretty sure we did Isabel's. I know Ractor is telling us to come back later. He's not ready. Did we exhaust Highwing's dialogue is the real question? No, I could talk for days, pal. Though I will admit, doing Ractor and Gaichi's voice may have left me a little raspy. I think it's kind of why I like doing Cassandra and Gobbet's voices, because they're a lot softer and don't tax the throat as much. Time to put someone armed. I think I was looking at Chi 6 to get the next spell. Because I wanted to get that thing that compresses Killing Hands and Stride into one spell.
You technique Killing Hand. You hit them, you steal money from them. You had to pay an invoice or they get hurt.
I thought you said Killing Ham, which meant we hit him with a fucking pork cutlet. But yeah.
They could.
It's not a bad idea. They'll tenderize the pork, too. Should have 6 spell slots now. Yes. I believe we lost one because of the cybernetics, but we got it back with that one, I believe. But yeah, I'm gonna save and call it there for the evening. A lot of great gameplay today, huh, guys? You never lost it, your essence is above 6. Oh, interesting. So the stream was kind of sort of not what you expected, but also entirely what you expected. It was a necessity, and what you should expect from a Western RPG as well. I think the main thing I was not expecting is how much I had incidentally forgotten to do in between the quests. Oh, excuse me.